Started here. So go ahead and get started. So I know we did this question here. Trying to skip past it. Wait, let me see. I thought there was a way for me to get to the next slide. There probably is, and I'm still figuring all of this out. Sorry, guys. Okay, we're going to flip through it here. Did we do this question? While I'm waiting for it. Hey, Christina, how are you? While I'm waiting for friends to pop in. Just so you know, guys, your microphone is automatically on when you come in, so you do need to click the mute button, which should be at the bottom left corner. We did this one? Okay, so we talked about how this guy was talking about eagles, and they're so cool and all that fun stuff. All right, and we said that, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get through it. The transference is where he's saying that this person reminds him of his brother, so he's transferring his thoughts from one person to another. All right, so I'll go ahead and do the next question. Welcome, my friends. Thank you for making it in. Just as a reminder, your microphone is on when you first come in. So if you don't want it on, just make sure you mute it. I am trying to go through and mute people just so they're not surprised they're on. But if you do want your mic on, it is fine to turn it on. Yay, Jazz. All right, so here's question 4. This is Dean Winchester, who has been remanded for treatment to a psychiatric hospital. Which question would be asked by a sociocultural psychologist? Is it green check? Well, you can't give me check, so just tell me in the chat box, like green check, or you can just say green or whatever. What happened in your past to believe that ghosts or spirits exist in our world? Red X. What media do you spend most of your time watching? Or turtle. Have you had any recent traumas or changes to your hormonal levels? Now, unfortunately, I don't have a timer, so I am just going to take a look at my watch and give you 2 minutes on the board. So what do you guys think? If you would prefer it, you could also say A, B, or C. So talk to each other. What would you pick? Welcome to my friends who are popping in here. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you've made it. Okay, got a few friends saying B. What do you think? Okay, red X. Yeah, you can say red X, you can say B, however you want to do this is fine, especially since it's not working the way we thought. All right, you have 1 more minute, so talk to your friends. What should it be? Okay, about 30 more seconds. All right, I'm trying to see how many people I have in here. Thank you guys for making it, by the way. Okay, just looking to see how many participants we have here. All right, so time is up. I apologize for not having a timer, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people saying they think it's red X. I'd love to know, let's see, what my other friends think. Tell me in the chat box. Charlize, what are you thinking? Christina? Who else did not? Kimberly. It's like Mira. Oh, Mira did. I'm sorry, Mira, you did. So what would you guys say? Madison, what would you say is the answer? Which one will be asked by a sociocultural psychologist? Sorry, Charlize. Oh, you did. I see it now. Sorry, I looked right past it. Christina says B. She's picking the middle choice. Anybody else? All right. So we've got 7 friends who've answered out of 9 in the room. That's pretty dang good. And the correct answer is, click. Yes, you are correct. You guys have thoroughly defeated the teacher. You have stumped me. You got 4 in a row, which I'm like both excited and not pleased with. No, I'm kidding. No, that is awesome, you guys. So hopefully you're feeling pretty good about psychoanalysis and sociocultural approaches. You know that psychoanalysis is really focused on your past, as well as kind of unconscious urges, maybe things you don't even know are bugging you. Whereas sociocultural is looking at your environment and how you're influenced by the environment around you. I know, woohoo! So do you guys have any questions before we move on to today's activity, which is going to get interesting because I'm not sure how it's going to work? Oh, see, there you go. Dean's like beaming it in your mind. All right. So today, we're going to move on to 3 more approaches, and all we're doing this week is just kind of touching on each of the major approaches. There's lots of little approaches. We're just kind of looking at the biggest ones that are still in use today. And then as we go through the units, we'll be going into more detail into each unit or each one. So the question that we're going to be looking at is, what is the central idea or ideas behind behaviorism, humanism, and cognitive psychology? And when would I be more likely to use these approaches? So we'll be kind of, again, like we did before, we'll be kind of looking at the approaches. And my idea today was that you were going to be the teachers, except clearly Jigsaw had an issue with that. So instead, what we're going to do is, I'm not going to worry about the breakout rooms. I know it says we're going to chill for a minute, but we're not going to do that. I am going to see if I can give you guys a document, because I don't think I can let you write on my screen, but I don't know. I could be wrong. So we're going to give me a moment, and we're going to go through each approach. Okay? And I'm so sorry, you guys, not how I plan on doing this today. So you're going to be working about an approach. I'll be telling you which approach as we go. We're not using the breakout rooms. And let me see if I can give you a graphic organizer here for taking notes. I just have to look and see what my options are. Okay, I do not appear to have that, but I'm pretty sure I could do it through Canvas. So just give me a second here, and I'll email you the graphic organizer. Can you guys still see my screen while I'm doing this? I'm just curious now. Yes? Okay. Now you're once again being my guinea pig, so thank you. Okay. Yes, that will let us write on the board, Nathan, but I wanted to give you guys a copy of this too in case you wanted it. Would you guys rather just do it that way? Yeah, this in some ways it is, but then I don't have the option of releasing items in the middle of the meeting, so like it's got its ups and downs, right? And I'm sorry that I put the chat right in the middle there. I'm just trying to make this all work. Okay, where is, there it is. You know what, we can't do that. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? As I'm trying to figure this out on the fly, I just realized something that I have to think about. So we're going to just do this. We're going to annotate this on the board, and then I'll make sure that I'll try to get a PDF of each one and send it to you guys. Oh, good. Okay, Jazz. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to do this a little differently. Don't worry about this part of it. I'm just clicking to get through it. So what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to look at behaviorism. And here is the website that you're going to use. So I'm going to ask everybody to go to that website. And then as Nathan pointed out at the top of the screen, when I get it to come down, I'm going to give you guys the option to annotate. Remember, if I have to do this. Okay, so this should allow you guys to annotate. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put the name of it up here. And as you find information, you can go ahead and put it on. You can write with the drawing tool, or you can use the text tool if you're like me and you're not very good at writing. And you can type it in. So whichever you prefer is fine. And as you can see, you can move it around. So let's see if we can figure out the central idea of behaviorism. What is behaviorism about? Welcome, Joshua. Okay, good, Madeline. Good, excellent, Madeline and Charlize. What is conditioning? It is like a training. Yeah, a training to your environment, having things repeated and yeah, response that you give in response to stimuli. So conditioning has to do with your environment and what you learn. And so learning from your environment, that's what I'm trying to say. Boy, that was a roundabout way to do it. So for example, how many of you, how many of you have a microwave in your house? Anybody? Yeah. When you hear the microwave bell go off, what do? Or beep or whatever it is. You open it, right? You've been conditioned. You know that from the microwave comes the thing we want, which is the food. Ergo, you're going to respond to it. But if you hear another noise, you may not respond to it because it may not provide you with something that you need. So conditioning is learning that from the environment. All right, so do I have a volunteer who wants to put the central idea up on the board? Come on, do I have a volunteer who's brave and wants to try annotating? Thanks, Nathan. I appreciate it. Jazz, I'm going to let you do the next one, okay? Oh, don't worry. We'll do more. While Nathan is getting the central idea up there, would you guys look through and see if you can learn any key points of behaviorism? Nathan, I believe from the participant side, you have to go up and you choose, when you put your mouse up at the top, the last option should be annotate, and that's how you can get it. It's okay, Karina. We are learning together. And welcome. Just to make you aware, when you first come in, your microphone is automatically on, so you may want to click mute, which is down in the bottom left corner. It looks like a microphone. So Nathan is, right now we're at this website here, for those of my friends who just joined us, and we're looking for the key points of behaviorism. And Nathan is going to hopefully be able to tell us the central idea of behaviorism. He's trying to get that up. They're good. I like that, Nathan. That's an excellent one. Sorry, I just realized I didn't click off so it doesn't show. I love that. That is a great key point, Mira. Jazz, absolutely. Learning occurs through association. I'd love it if you ladies would put those up under key points. It's okay. Welcome, Meg. Just to let you guys know, the microphone is automatically on when you come in. So if you come in and you might want to put mute once you get in. Oh, the tools to type, Madeline, go up at the top. There's view options. Oh, thank you, Nate. I knew there was something I was forgetting to tell you guys. Okay, so learning, yeah. Well, oh, wait. Let me see if I can move this box because I can't read. Yes, okay. I wanted to make sure you put art considered because that's a really key point. Unlike anything else we're looking at, this is the only time when we don't care what's going on inside. Charlize, that's a good point. Yes. Please put that up too. There's two particular types of conditioning that we talk about. What are the two types?
Hold on, I'm coming.
Hey, May, welcome. When it says the people involved in this approach, let me see. It refers to anybody who uses the approach. So like any psychologists that work with this approach, things like that. Does that answer your question? Okay. What are the two types of conditioning? Oh, absolutely. Reward and punishment are a part of one particular type of conditioning. Look up a little bit more. I definitely want to hold on to that, Madeline, because I want to come back to that. Good, Mira, classical and operant. And it's important to note that there is a difference. We are going to get into these kinds of conditioning, so I don't want you to think like this is it, we've learned everything. And I saw someone put John Watson was involved in the approach. Bravo, my friend, absolutely. But with classical conditioning, what they're talking about is we have different kinds of responses. Okay, let me back up here. Sometimes you can't control a response. Does anyone ever have a situation where you can't control your response? It's involuntary? Yeah, like walking down a dark hallway and my daughter jumps out and yells boo. I jump backwards and go like that every time. I can't stop it. I know she's probably going to do it. I mean, my house isn't that big. I can hear her giggling, but I still know she's going to do it, and I respond anyway. Yeah, if you get hurt, you cover the wound, Madeline. That's a good one. Yes. Classical conditioning deals with involuntary responses. And so what you're doing is you're associating a stimulus with your involuntary response to get a conditioned response. Okay? So if every time my daughter jumped out and, went boo, and then she showed me a pencil at the same time, well, at first I'm not really going to react to the pencil, but over time, if she kept doing it, she could just hold out a pencil and I would probably jump the same way because I would associate the two. So classical conditioning is an important key point. It works with involuntary responses. But yeah, that's another one. Yeah, Jazz, like when I dropped something in the kitchen the other day, I jumped backwards. Yeah, that's a good one. Now, Madeline brought up the concept of reward and punishment, which goes with operant conditioning. Okay, operant conditioning says that when we're rewarded for something, we're more likely to do it. When we're punished, we're less likely to do it. Okay, and I know that sounds like duh, but if you think about it, how many of you use different ringtones on your phone? Okay. Do you have one for your friends and like one for maybe people you don't want to talk to? Yeah. Like there's this one lady who calls me all the time and she's a nice woman, but sometimes I just can't deal with her. I'm sorry, because she likes to call usually when I'm teaching. And so I have to admit, I have a ringtone for her that says, warning, warning, she's annoying. I know, I'm a bad person, I'm sorry. Okay, Nathan, yeah. But then when my mom calls, I have a song for her. Obviously, I want to answer the one if my mom calls, but maybe, yeah, okay, there you go, Jazz. Maybe I'm going to ignore the other ones. That is reward and punishment. I'm rewarded by talking to my mom, so I go for that song. Whereas talking to the other lady, I feel terrible saying it's punishment, but a punishment is anything designed to decrease the frequency of the behavior. I might ignore that because I might say, oh, you know, I'm teaching, I can't stop and talk to this person. Yes, Mira, please.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
This thing I saw like a while ago, it was like has to do with the operant. It's like so if you go wash the dishes and you go and talk to your parent and they like respond sarcastically like, "Oh, you're finally doing something productive," then like you're less likely to do it. But if they like thank you and like are nice about it, then you're probably more likely to do it. I hope that made sense. That was it.
Absolutely. No, that was great. That's absolutely true. If they speak to you nicely, that's like a reward, right? You're like, "Oh, well, I want to help them more because they're being nice to me." But if they're, you know, like you said, sarcastic, you're like, I don't think I want to do this again."
Yeah.
That's a great one. Oh, it's up here. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to type and I can't type and talk at the same time. I have skills, but those aren't it. All right. So let's talk about the people involved. What are you guys seeing about people involved here? We got John Watson. Very nice. Yeah, Jazz. And you know what? Sometimes you can say, because I have a daughter who's a teenager. Okay. So sometimes I will admit as a parent, maybe I don't always use my kindest voice, but sometimes what my daughter said to me the other day, and it worked, and it requires a lot of calm, is she said, "I really do want to help. I know sometimes I don't help as much as you'd like, but I do want to help with the house." And it was like, oh. And I said, "You know what? You're right. I'm sorry." Or sometimes when you've got a calm moment, you could speak to your parents and say, "Hey, I do, you know, I'm sorry that you feel I'm not doing enough around the house, but when you say that in that kind of joking tone, I know you think it's being funny, but it kind of upsets me. Could we talk about a different response?" And believe it or not, that's kind of being an adult, right? Is finding ways to talk to your family. So I do understand though. Hey, Sarah, welcome. For those of my friends who just popped in, we are using this website. Yeah, sometimes you try to do it in a joking tone, and sometimes I know I've bombed that. Yeah, it does require, and it may, you know, Jazz, she might, and then you might say to her, you know, I am being serious. Could we talk about this? But you have to make sure that whenever you talk to them, it's not like, you know, you're in the middle of an argument. So right now, my friends who just popped in, we're looking to see what other people are involved in the behaviorism approach. You know, someone was reading about learning from rewards and punishments. There's a person there. He's a big one. Anybody find any other people involved here? We could look at the people involved in the approach. That's okay. Who have you found? You find someone and I'll see if I can help you. B.F. Skinner. Good, Meg. Yes. Can you put B.F. Skinner up on the board? He is the father of operant conditioning. Watson's considered the father of classical conditioning. Remember, he conditioned Albert to be afraid of the white rat by using an involuntary response, which was crying at the sound of loud noises, and associating it with the white rat. But B.F. Skinner, he was big with operant conditioning. So if we could just put B.F. Skinner up on the board, you don't have to put anything else. Ivan Pavlov, good, a big one for classical conditioning. Edward Thorndike, absolutely. Edward Thorndike and Clark Hull, they were more along the lines of kind of like in between the two types of conditioning. But what they did was they showed how we respond to different kinds of conditioning. Whoa, no, come back. Sorry, hang on. Trying to move the Skinner and Pavlov, it looks like they're kind of on top of each other, but apparently if I try to click, it thinks I'm, oh, let's see if I do this. Oh no, don't get rid of Pavlov. We do want him up here. Jazz, they have to be real people, yes. All right, so how about some strengths of the approach? There we go, thank you. How about some strengths of the approach? I don't know if you can see this, but I'm trying to point to strengths of the approach and not make it move. What's good about behaviorism? There we go. Let's do that. No, that's okay, Charlize. I understand. It's tough today, so I'm appreciating you guys helping me out. If you scroll down a bit, they do have one that says behavioral psychology has some strengths. It's under the top things to know about behavioral psychology. I'm sorry, I did have another plan, but we roll with it, right? Okay, these are great, showing how someone's environment can affect how they act. It will teach the rules, absolutely. Okay, and one of the things they point out is that it's easier to quantify and collect data. If I see you behave a certain way, I know what I can say, I see this behavior, right? I can quantify it. Whereas if I say to, Sarah, how are you feeling, Sarah? I can't necessarily quantify that the same way. It's hard for me to put a number to an emotion. So Mira and Madeline, if you ladies would be willing to write what you're saying under strengths of the approach, that would be awesome. Yes, Jazz, absolutely. That's a great one too, if we could add that one there too. Let's look at weaknesses. What are some of the weaknesses of the approach? How to perceive the world? Yeah. Yes, it does not look at our biological processes or our cognitive. Our thoughts and feelings do not register with behaviorism. You would never, if you're a behaviorist, you will never, ever, ever ask, how do you feel? You don't care. Oh, don't worry about it, Mira. We'll figure it out. It can sometimes, yeah, you may be associating things you don't mean to, like where we just talked about how sometimes when your parents are sarcastic in response to you doing something, you kind of associate a negative thought with doing it and you may not want to do it again, right? Absolutely. These are some great points. So you're never ever going to say, like, how do you feel? That's not even going to enter into the whole thing. Oops, sorry, hold on, I'm trying to move I'm trying to move my snipper. And I'm having lots of issues here. Okay, let's put the snipper back, please. Let me put the snipper back. Ay, guys. There we go. Yeah, that would be an example, absolutely. That would actually go to like a form of classical conditioning. This guy. I want to take a picture of it. Yeah. I want to take a picture of this so I can give you guys this picture, because I don't know if we'll be able to download it the way we normally would. I'm sorry, it was stressful. Well, let's see what we can, let's talk here. So you're going to kill me, but I have to delete all of these now to go on to the next slide. So give me just a second. Let me see if I can, if I take away annotate, will it? Nope. Okay. So pardon me while I delete some things here, and then we'll move on. Guys, I realize this is different and I apologize, but I can't tell you how grateful I am. And actually, all the teachers we've been talking about, how grateful we are to the students have been so willing to work with us and help us out. So we just want you guys to know we are recognizing that, and you guys are rock stars in our book. So thank you. Yeah, that could happen, Jazz, absolutely. So how could we use this approach? That's the next question we want to ask ourselves. So here we have a gentleman named Peter Quill. You might have heard of him. He's also known as Star-Lord, and he works for a group known as the Ravagers, stealing items and selling them for profit. Quill has a problem with authority. He doesn't like being told what to do. He works better alone than with a team. And he's even spent time in prison because some of his activities are a little illegal. Oh, you are so welcome, Karina. Thank you. Now we'll all make this work, right? Quill would love to join a team known as the Guardians of the Galaxy, but they are really concerned about his past habits. So here's my question to you guys. What kinds of questions should we ask as behaviorists? So think about this for a moment. Should we ask what he did? Should we ask how he's feeling? Or should we focus on the behaviors themselves? Right, Jazz, you're right. No, we don't want to ask how he's feeling. We want to focus on his behaviors. So what behavior do we see here? Why is it not the best type of evaluation, Jazz? Do you not see a behavior here? Okay, so that's something he needs to do, but what behaviors does he show? Let's look at this again. He shows some illegal behaviors. What is there anything specifically, Mira? Stealing. Okay, stealing, a problem with authority. Okay, he's shown some delinquent behaviors, Meg, absolutely. Okay, so should we reward these behaviors, or should we try to get him to change these behaviors? Oh, Jazz, I just realized, are you saying that maybe he's not the best kind of guy to focus? Okay, I see what you're saying now. I'm sorry. I was like, what? No, there's lots of behaviors here. Gotcha. Yeah, so we need to change his behaviors, because you're right, he's not working in a team and he needs to. So we might want to, what is the behavior we might want to punish? Stealing. Okay. So what could he do that we might reward? When he's stealing things, we want to punish that. But what's something we could do? Okay, if he's being a team player, or if he's giving the items back, we might reward those, right? Do you see how we're using, okay, if he's respectful, if he shows respect, like maybe if he says please or thank you, or if he listens, if someone says please go do this and he says okay and does it. All right, so when we're looking at this, we want to consider what kind of behaviors we're looking for. But am I going to say to Star-Lord, am I going to say, how does it make you feel when someone tells you what to do? No. And just like Madeline said, is it kind of like training a dog? In a way, because we're not asking the dog, how do you feel when I give you a treat? Right? We're just looking at behaviors. So behaviorism, it can be very useful in changing a behavior, but then sometimes it doesn't consider the emotional motives behind it. And so that's where it can be a weakness. All right. I know this has been kind of crazy, but does anyone have any questions on behaviorism? Don't worry, we will be coming back to it. This is not the last time we'll do it. All right. We are kind of running behind, so I apologize, but I am going to give you guys some information here on humanism. This time I'm going to do it instead of using the website. And but I'd like to get through each of these examples. So again, thank you guys so much for being so awesome here. So we're going to talk about humanism. And the central idea of humanism, and I'll give you this website just in case you're interested in looking up information. I like Very Well Mind. They do a very nice balanced job of presenting each approach. So if you're ever looking for a resource, they're a great one to consider. All right, so the central idea of humanism is that all people are in control of their lives and can make choices to grow and self-actualize. I'm going to explain what self-actualizing is in a moment. How many times have you, yes, Jazz, absolutely. This is like a 180. This is far more feelings. Great question. How often do you guys feel like sometimes you're not in control of your life? A few times? Recently a lot? Yeah? Guys, if it makes you feel any better, even as an adult, I feel that way a lot myself too. Sorry about that, I was clearing my throat. So the thing is with humanism is, believe it or not, even when you feel like you're not in control, you still have some control. I know that sounds crazy. Let's say your mother comes to you and says, I want you to stop whatever activity you're doing, maybe it's something you want to do, and instead I want you to do a chore for me. Do you have control over that? Sort of, Jazz. If your mom's telling you, you stop what you're doing right now and you come do this for me instead, what way could you maybe have some control, Charlize? Yeah, what way could you have some control, Jazz? Okay, you can follow it or not, Karina. Uh-huh. Anything else that you have control on? True, Meg, true. Your decision could make your mom upset, so that's something you have to consider. Okay, so by choosing not to, right, and so that's the thing. Is that really control if you do something that gets you in trouble? Not really, right? Pardon me, guys. I'm sorry, my allergies are bothering me today. It's not really, because ultimately it's not going to get you what you want. But what if, like Charlize said, okay, Madeline, you might be able to negotiate depending. No, Jazz, actually, that's a great example of it. But you could choose how you respond to it, right? You could respond by saying, okay. You could respond by saying, fine. Or you could respond by refusing to do it. So you do have a control in how you choose to react, right? Because you know you're probably going to do it anyway. That you may not have control on. But the idea of humanism is there's always something somewhere that you can control, even if it's just how you respond. Yeah, I give you options, false advertising. So the idea behind humanism is something called self-actualization. I'm trying to pull this down a little bit. Hang on. You go over there. There we go. Okay. That's true. You could look at it like that, Jasmine. If I do it now, I won't have to do it later, so I might as well get it out of the way. Yes. Self-actualization is, how do I put this? Having a deep knowledge of yourself. Sorry, I can't type and talk. But I can spell strength, so. Okay, so having a deep knowledge of yourself and who you are, your flaws and strengths, this is all a part of humanism. And this is a really important part. This doesn't mean you're perfect. This doesn't mean that you will never screw up. What it means is that you understand who you are. Because when we think about humanism, and we'll talk about this more later, if you're not being fed, you can't think about your emotional needs. And if you don't feel safe or loved, you can't think about your confidence. Yeah, exactly, Mira. So you have to kind of lead up to really understanding yourself. And the truth is, for most humanists, they believe this really takes a long, long time in your life. It's not something that you just wake up tomorrow and you happen to know. Okay? And another key point that I want to mention is that the person, let me put it this way, each person is important and unique. So this idea is that we need to consider the needs of each person. We can't just look at someone and say, oh, you'll be fine, that'll work out for you. We really need to consider how they are unique as a person. And the guy I want to mention here, oh, shrink that up, is a guy named Abraham Maslow. Near the law of attraction. The law of attraction, I think, definitely comes from a humanist perspective, actually. The idea of who you're attracted to, or bringing people towards you, or kind of pushing them away. Unless you're talking about a different law of attraction, my apologies, because sometimes we find the same thing comes up over and over again. So the strength of the approach would be that it focuses on each person and gaining a better understanding of themselves. Awesome. Okay, good. I'm glad. I've said something before and people are like, no, I'm thinking about something else. I'm like, oh, it has two names. But the weaknesses of the approach, it doesn't always push a person to make changes. So sometimes with humanism, a person can get kind of stuck and they may not really push themselves to make changes. So it's definitely not always right for every single person. Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely. So let me take a snip of this. I'm sorry, guys. Give me a sec to move that. Why it insists on coming up over there every single time, I don't know. Okay. Yes, of course, Charlize. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know it's kind of hard to ask questions today, and I feel like I'm sort of rushing you guys through, but I'm just, whoa. Hang on just a second, trying to catch us back up. If you want to grab the mic, you can. Otherwise, you can type it in chat. Ooh, Charlize, such a good question. I give you a virtual high five. Truthfully, a therapist will use a mixture of these approaches. But if you don't have an understanding of the approaches, you're not going to be able to really know how to switch back and forth. So what we're doing in here is a survey, just learning the basic approaches and kind of the basics of psychology. And then if you wanted to become a psychologist, you would get more deeply into that. That's such a good question. Karina, yes, Carl Rogers, Rollo May, Eric Fromm. There's a lot of people involved. I just want to make sure we brought up Maslow, but absolutely. Thank you. A virtual high five to you, my friend. Absolutely. All right. Well, let's think about humanism and how we could help our friend here, Rocket Raccoon, who has some issues, it looks like, with kleptomania and perhaps willpower. Rocket has the bad habit of stealing things from people, but he wants to change this so his team will respect him better. He knows he could self-actualize, meaning he could be a better version of himself. I think I forgot to add of himself, sorry. And the goal of humanism is to help the client take control of his life. So he's saying that he tries to control his kleptomania. If you're not familiar with kleptomania, it means the impulse to steal, but sometimes he gets so bad he has to take something. Oh, no, wait. Go back. Okay, so what could he do? Thank you, Mira, for being on top of it. So he could, yeah, maybe he could think about what is it that makes him want to steal and try to fix that. Absolutely. What else could he look at? Welcome, Lauren. Yes, today is a Guardian of the Galaxy Day. Okay, what about what he steals? Like what could he look at there? Okay, Jazz. So he might not be willing to get deep enough with humanism, is what you're thinking? So we may have to push him for a better answer than that, right? Why does he feel this urge? Yeah. One of the things we might look at is his emotional needs. Maybe stealing comes from an emotional need that's not met. His thought processes. Okay, yeah, what's he thinking? These are some good questions we might want to look at with him. And I want to point out to you guys too, one of the things I like is that no one here is trying to tell him what to do, because that's the thing about humanism. It's not about telling him what to do as much as guiding him through the process. And any therapy, by the way, is not so much about telling the person the answer as it is helping them find the answer. So these are really good points here. Okay, do you think he's really trying to use willpower, by the way, if he continues to steal things? He might, Jazz. Yeah. No, he probably isn't. Oh, Meg. Ooh, I like it. Maybe his stealing offers him a sense of control. And we do know that humanism is about saying you're in control. So maybe we need to work with him to find a different sense of control. I like that. So Lauren, so you're not sure there, maybe he is trying, maybe he's not. So that's something we might need to get to the root of with him, right? Yeah, he does seem to have that problem with willpower, so maybe we need to look for different. Yeah, he did. Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about our last approach, which is the cognitive approach. I'm going to give you guys one more website. And this is also different from, yeah, oh, I see, Jazz. I'm sorry, that just popped up for me. Yeah, as a test subject, he probably felt like he couldn't control, so he's used this as a sense of control instead. That's a great point. All right, so we're going to look at the cognitive approach here. There we go. And, sorry, I put that in the wrong place. Emotionally dissecting a raccoon. Yes, absolutely. Well, you know, what fun is psychology class if you don't get to try this out on celebrities, right? So the central idea of psychology class is that the cognitive approach is that your thoughts, emotions, perceptions, and mental processes drive how you see the world. So much worse, so much worse. That's right. So this is the idea behind the cognitive approach. And I want to add something to that as well, is that your mental development is a large part of it. Oops, sorry, hang on, I'm trying to. For example, I know with working with high school students that I can ask you guys to go to a website and try to help me find information. But I couldn't do that with pre-K kids or kindergartners. They'd look at this website and be like, I have no idea where to go with this. But I know your mental development is such that you understand that if I give you a website, you're supposed to look at it to find information. So that's an important thing to know the difference in your mental development. Yes, having to do with the functions of the brain. Yes, Jazz, absolutely. So I'm going to let you guys annotate this one. So if you want to put up a key point, that is a good key point, Jazz. What else could we say? Maybe some topics and theories in cognitive psychology. Yes, absolutely. How do they acquire, process, and store information? Very important. Thinking and problem solving. Those are great. Yes, Madeline and Mira, sorry, if you would add those to the board as well under key points. Any other key points? Oh, I'll move it for you. I find I have to click select to move things. Just if you guys have that option too. If not, I can move it with no problem. Now that I figured it out. Sure. What else could we say? Good. I'm just gonna pull that one there. Oh, Charlize, that's a good point. Using the scientific method to research the human mind. Absolutely. I like that one too. That'd be a great one to put under key points. And if you find something like if you find a person and you want to add them under people involved, you can do that too. Is there anything else we'd want to add here? Sorry. Yes. So concept is it would be kind of the large category of knowledge. I'm going to give you another term when we get into this further, but that's kind of like, for example, if I say animals, we're talking about animals. That's a concept. You understand that there, I can point to a cat, I could point to a dog, I could point to a giraffe and say animal, and you recognize that they all fit within that large concept. And then the prototype would be a specific. So for example, if I pointed to a cat and then I showed you a picture of my cat, my cat would be the prototype, the specific. And then schema is kind of that framework that we have, that mental map. Ulrich Neisser, yes, he is a person we can add. And I'm going to give someone who's not listed here, but I want to make sure we know. And of course, his last name is popping out of my head at the moment, or his first name, but Piaget. Jean Piaget, there it is. He's one we will definitely talk about. And he's a very important person in cognitive development. Yes, jazz, like a classification. The concept would be like a classification. That's good. Has anyone noticed any strengths for cognitive psychology? Awesome. Yes, focusing on how a person's brain develops, how it processes. As a teacher, I need to know what stage of mental development you're likely to be in so I can match my lessons to it, right? I mean, if I give you this lesson that's like, okay, guys, this is the letter A. What comes after letter A? You're all going to look at me and probably tune out because you're going to be like, we know the letters, thank you very much. So I know that's not where you are in your mental development. So I have to consider that. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it because at the moment it's not feeling very light. All right, and a weakness, sometimes it's too focused on people's mental processes and it doesn't give enough weight to behavior. Ah, Jazz, I'm so glad you're able to get in here. That's awesome. All right. Does anyone have any questions here? I know we've only got a couple minutes left, but I would love to see if we could take a minute. Oh, no, we've got longer than I thought. All right. So does anyone have any questions here? Is this making kind of sense to you on what cognitive psychology is? Can anyone tell me how it is different from behaviorism? How is cognitive psychology different from behaviorism? Mira, I just saw what you wrote. All 20 letters. Oh, Charlize, no, that was to help you guys, just kind of guide you as you went through the presentation. Sometimes I just give you things to kind of help you with guiding your notes. Okay, good. Cognitive focuses on the person's brain and the person as a whole. What does behaviorism focus on? Good, yes. Nathan, cognitive focus on how we remember things, and Jazz, you and Nathan are kind of pointing out behaviorism is just about your behaviors. It's not looking at how you think, how you feel. It's looking at how you're behaving. Whereas cognitive, and Jazz, that's a great point, it doesn't really look at your behaviors. And a lot of times what people don't realize, because I've had people say to me, well, now wait a minute, I went to a behaviorist, but he asked me how I felt. Well, in the more recent years, there's been a movement to combine cognitive and behaviorism. They call it cognitive behaviorism, but some people drop the word cognitive. So typically, when you're talking about these separately, behaviorism's all external. If I can't see you do it, I'm not going to focus on it. Cognitive is the opposite. I'm only looking for what's going on inside of you. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Mira. Please feel free to grab the microphone if that makes life easier. I'm sorry, babe. I know I'm off today because this was not how I intended to teach class, so that's something to think about, and I will try to think about that more. Thank you for pointing that out. Oh, no, I gotcha. I love that you guys are participating, and I'm very grateful. Thank you. All right. Well, let's go ahead then here and try our last person, if it'll move. And just give me a second. I have to select and delete these. I'm going to make a different PDF for you guys, and I'll have it when I put up the recording, and it will have all of those answered so that if you're not taking notes or you're not able to get a snip, don't worry, I'll take care of you, okay? All right, so let's see how we can use this approach on our final person here. This is Ron Weasley, and I know we're going backwards a little bit, going to Hogwarts, but it's such a good one to use for cognitive. He wants to try out for the Quidditch team as the keeper, and if you're not familiar with Quidditch, just think of like the goalie of a soccer team. That's what the keeper does. And he beats out other students. He earns the position at the tryouts. So that's Ron. He's the keeper. On the day of the first game, Ron is refusing to come out of his room or eat breakfast. He keeps saying things like, it's not worth it. I can't do it. Yes, air soccer. There you go. I like that. And Harry, his friend, has come to you as a cognitive psychologist asking for help on getting Ron to come out and play his position as keeper. So what can we do? What kinds of things can we ask him? What can we focus on? Remember, we're thinking about wizards and psychologists. Yes, Nathan. Okay, Jazz, we might want to start focusing on why he feels like it's not worth it, his feeling there. Okay, Mira, we might want to look at what mental process are keeping him from playing. Lauren, yeah, what does he feel like he can't do it? Is there something we could point out to him to show him that his thoughts maybe are a little illogical? He made the team, right? Yeah, you were excited at tryouts. You did great. It is the first game, and it's okay to be nervous. He did, Jazzy, beat out everybody else for that spot, right? So clearly he's pretty good. They could have picked someone else. And actually, I don't know if you're not familiar with the movies, but Harry did actually use a cognitive trick on Ron. He pretended to put something in his drink called luck potion, and he said, if you drink this, then you'll be lucky. And so he pretended to, and Hermione was kind of mad, and he also fooled his friend because she said, oh, you didn't actually put it in, you just thought he did, which using cognitive means that his thought processes directed him to do it. Placebo luck, absolutely. Yeah, I love the look on her face when she realizes, hey, that was tricky. A little tricky. That's right. Guys, you're amazing. You are awesome. I'm so thankful that you were willing to jump in and try this with me and try Zoom. So we will we may be back here again. We'll see. I'll work on ways we can do class together. But thank you so much for doing so much for us. And I do have all these websites. They will be, like I said, I'll be making a better PDF that will have everything filled in for you so that you can get it that way. But thank you so much. You did? Oh, good. Okay. Do you feel comfortable on the key points of behaviorism, humanism, and cognitive psychology? It's low key, so it's better? Oh, okay, Mira. Absolutely. You too, Charlize. Thank you. All right. Well, if you have any questions, you can hang out. Otherwise, next class, we're going to discuss careers and maybe play a little Kahoot. Otherwise, you have a great day. And thank you so much again for being so patient working with me. You guys are awesome.